Hello, beautiful.
Hi. I just realized we're matching.
Kind of. I'm in burgundy.
Well, yeah, I guess this is bright red, but honestly, it makes sense because tomorrow's 4th of July, so I'll take it.
Yes. I actually should have had some blue too.
Which, am I supposed to be on Moment of Presence with you tomorrow?
I think that would be lovely. We could talk about all kinds of freedoms.
I love that. You know, I'm Miss Patriotic, so.
Yes. Who
Perk.
are you, by the way?
Pardon?
Who are you and who are we?
Oh, hi everyone. Welcome to Shockingly Delightful. My name is Krista. I am the fractional COO, which is why I have Wicked Wisdom Consulting, and I just butchered that intro. And I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Michelle.
Barone. Barone. Or as I like to say, bar one. It's actually supposed to be bar none, but whatever. I am Michelle Barone of Moksha Grace Coaching, and I help people deal with their emotions and find emotional liberation so that their emotions are not in control of them, that they are in control of their emotions. And it's not
And you
always
just launched something.
I did just
Let's
launch
just talk
something.
about it now, and then we'll talk about it again at the end.
Okay. So I had this idea, why do only kids get to go to camp? And so I wanted to do something that would be fun for adults too. And then it like morphed and it turned into like this other thing and then another thing. And so now it's a community. And the name is Odonata. It's an Odonata community. Odonata is basically the family insect name of dragonflies. In case you didn't know, I love dragonflies. And it's all about transformations when you are going through transitions in your life. So, empty nesters, the one I said the other day, which is like moms taking their kids to kindergarten in the fall, and you're going to go to a boohoo breakfast and you're not going to know what the heck to do with yourself. But any
Getting
kind of
married, losing a loved one, becoming a caregiver,
yes,
new additions to the family, changes to the family, any sort of change,
divorces.
which changes everywhere in our life. Career changes. Maybe you got a promotion. Maybe you got, I don't know, newfound money, and you're in a new class of being.
Or lost money and now have to deal with that. But it's about realigning with yourself with this new version of you and finding that new identity. And we're going to do it in a fun way. Lots of activities. We're going to be meeting for weekly coaching calls. There's going to be a community that only you will have access to. It is by subscription, so you can join for a month, you can join for 3 months, you can join for a year. It is completely up to you. And I'm really looking forward to that. Our first coaching call will be Thursday night, which is July
Next Thursday.
A week from tomorrow. Thursday night, the 11th at 8 p.m. And you will get invited once you subscribe. So there you go. Odonata community.
I'm super excited about this, and I thought it was a great idea. And honestly, I'm really glad that we morphed it from the camp to a community, because I think a camp is a great idea. I love it, but a community is so much more. There's the longevity of it, where people really start to see changes and differences. So I'm really excited about that. And we'll be talking about that more and more. We'll mention it again on Moment of Presence. If you have any questions or anything, pop them in the chat or send one of us a message. I'm Michelle's fractional COO, so I can certainly answer any questions you might have as well. And then you can actually, this is something where there's no, we call them compatibility calls with Moksha Grace. There's no compatibility call consult. It's just go ahead and get signed up on the website. And like Michelle said, if you just want to sign up for a month, check it out, you can do that. Or you can jump right in and do the annual and save yourself a couple bucks too.
Yeah, that's really cool too. I'm looking forward to it, and it's my way of being able to give back, because not everybody can afford, what some call high ticket coaching or even medium ticket coaching at this point. And this is really an opportunity for a group of women to come together that are facing similar challenges and changes, and get some help on how to work through them.
Yeah.
So, as you're joining us, please make sure that you are putting your name and where you're from in the comment section so we know you're here, because we're streaming across many different platforms, and so it's nice to see who's here.
Yeah, and if you notice, we have a slightly different layout today. We're trying out having the comments just displayed on the side, which, if you've been watching the show since we started, you'll know that Michelle has not stopped talking about this like every episode, and will even force the caption feed on, even though it doesn't look great. So now the layout is set up for that.
I know, but it's so much fun.
Well, we'll see if people use it, so make sure to comment, y'all. But today's topic is called Put the Phone Down. And we are talking about the introduction of smartphones and AI, and how it is doing the complete opposite than it's supposed to, which is uh, I wouldn't say ruining connection, but it's deterring people. It's removing the ability to connect. It's removing our natural inclination to connect. It's just taking away connection versus connecting people more. Ironically,
Mm-hmm.
even though we are the most connected we've ever been, we can reach people in a different way than we ever have. But the ability to truly energetically connect is being lost.
Yeah. And do you think that's because of the technology, or the laziness of or time constraints of people? Because making a phone call, you can be on the phone for 5 minutes to an hour, where a simple quick text of, hey, happy birthday, takes 2 seconds, and sometimes even less, because sometimes it's already typed out and all you have to do is choose the right happy birthday that you want to send.
Hmm. So I don't know. I'm someone who I love written stuff. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
getting like a happy birthday via text is totally fine. That person was thinking of me. Awesome. The way that my mind thinks about this topic is more in the sense of happy birthdays are a great example.
Mm-hmm.
If I know that you're not on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
and I still post a post about your birthday and you're not on Facebook, that has nothing to do with you. You're never going to see that. I can take a
Right.
screenshot and send it to you, but you're not going to see that. So I'm doing that for attention. So it seems like I'm connecting with you, but you're
Right.
not even on Facebook. Same thing with like Father's Day, Mother's Day, Grandparents' Day, whatever it is. If that person isn't actually on whatever
Right.
you're posting about, then it's not for them, it's for you.
Great
Um,
point.
Same thing with any type of post. We've gotten to the point with social media, particularly, where we're not posting because something's cool, or I mean, some people are, sure. But people who have like personal Instagram or Facebook accounts, it's not so much a matter of posting for you. It's I'm posting to get attention.
Yeah.
And so you're not actually connecting with anyone. Now it's become a competition.
Yes. And I think it all has to do with the message that's being sent out too. It has to be valuable. I mean, I know when we sit down and we talk about what are we going to talk about, we want to make sure that we're bringing value, or we're making people think.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just on here just to talk. We can do that ourselves in our living room. We're doing it because we want to engage in a conversation and bring other people into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the connecting piece.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, the role that AI is playing in this as well is AI is removing
Right.
the humanity and connection in the things that people are writing and putting out, because now so many people are choosing the cheap, and they're calling it efficient, and they're
Right.
calling it superior and all these things, but is it really method of creating content, writing content that it doesn't have any of you in it? It's written by a generator, it's not written by you with things that a way that you would say it, and
Mhm.
your tone, your inflection, and that's what people connect to. There's so many different workshops and stuff that I'll go on, and the person leading the workshop will say, "Oh, we'll just pull up, Chat GDP or pull up whatever, and just type in what you want and have it tell you, have it give you the whole thing." Well, then what are you here for? What are you doing what you do for? Because if you're not the one writing about what it is that you do, why would I connect with you? I'm not connecting with you. I'm connecting with a generator that spit out words.
Yeah.
I want to know, how do you describe yourself? How do you
Yeah.
speak? How do you resonate with the topic? I don't care what an AI bot is writing. I care what you have to say.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, I'm in a few different groups online of people that are very much against AI, and they'll screenshot and post different companies that are using this strategy with the
Mhm.
AI bots. And you can totally tell that it wasn't written by them. And
Right.
B, half the time it doesn't make sense. And C, all it does is then show people that you're probably a little bit cheap. You didn't want to pay a professional to do it. You wanted to take
Right.
the easy route. And where does that say about the product or service you're offering? Where else are you
Mhm.
cutting corners? Where else are you not using your creative brain? Where else are you not
Mhm.
connecting with people? And how is that going to affect whatever I'm expecting to get from you?
Yeah.
So it's not just, oh, I'm just going to put it in a bot and it's going to save me some time. There are some real implications to that.
So, for instance, in the last couple weeks, my mother passed away, and I had to call some of the utilities
Hmm.
to cancel her accounts.
Yeah.
And there was one that there was a chat, and it popped up, how can we help you?
Hmm.
And my name is whatever, Amanda. And I was like, okay, well, this might be easier. So I was like, my mom passed, I need to close her account. Oh, are you moving?
Yep.
um no, that's not what I said. So it's like, not even the bots are
Hmm.
really understanding what you're writing, because they're not people. And so it was just the weirdest thing. And
Yeah.
and unfortunately, the other thing that I also came across was they had a script that they were following. So even when I mentioned what it was I was trying to do and the why, I still got like, well, I hope you're having a wonderful day. And it was like, what?
I just told you my mom died. I don't think my
What?
day is wonderful.
Like,
Yeah.
so where is the human connection?
There is
Where,
none because
where
it's a robot.
and or you're reading a script and you're not
Yeah.
thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
What I think chat gpt is great for is, hey, I want to plan a party, give me some like 10 top ideas of games to play, or something
How
like
about
that.
use your own creative brain
I
and
know,
muscle
but
and what you like to
okay,
do?
yes, I'm
It
just
is
saying.
a muscle that you have
Mhm.
to exercise. When we start giving up little rights, what do you think is going to happen to the big rights? When we say, well, I don't like that that person said that thing, they should be silenced. Okay, well, when you say your thing, I hope you expect the same thing to happen to you.
Well,
It's about having standards, and it's about holding to um, morals, and either you believe in something or you don't.
and we're going to talk more about freedoms tomorrow.
Yeah, a moment of presence up on these same channels, unless you're watching on the Shockingly Delightful channel.
Yes.
But the other part of this too, with put the phone down specifically, is the Panthers just won the Stanley Cup in hockey, and there was a huge parade on, yeah, whoop whoop. There was a huge parade on Sunday, and I see a couple people joining us. Definitely comment, let us know you're here.
Hmm.
And there was live coverage of the oh, I can't see who this is. Hold on. Let me
I
take
believe
off
that's
the thing.
Jenny. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
That's right.
So there was a live footage of the parade,
Hmm.
and anytime they were on the ground looking up, pretty much all you could see was just phones. Everybody's phones. The
Right.
majority of the people that were there were not even thanks, Renee. We're not even watching the parade or even
Right.
engaging with the players. It was, well, how much can I record so that I can get this onto Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or whatever it is?
To prove that I was there.
Right, to prove that
But
I was there.
were you really there?
Probably not, considering, well, there were also some people throwing their phones up on the bus, which was crazy. But even like, let's think of anytime you go out for dinner, look around.
Yeah.
How many people are sitting there on their phones?
Date night is not supposed to be like this.
Yeah, how about family meals are also not supposed to be the kids on iPads while you guys are, or the parents are praying that the kids don't make a fuss.
Right.
That's not,
Right.
there's connection missing here.
Right.
All right,
Exactly.
I'm gonna take
And
there we go.
oh, there we go.
Live in the
Yes.
moment, not on the phone.
Lit.
I'm telling
Exactly.
you, Jenny, exactly. Live in the moment, not on the phone. Absolutely. And you know, what is that also? What is that teaching children? If they only see their parents on the phone all the time,
Mm-hmm.
how do you learn how to relate to other people and connect with other people? My
Mm-hmm.
brother and I, you and Pops, we grew up seeing you guys hold hands, you know, cuddle with each other on the couch, you know, engage with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we learn how to then engage with other people. That's how we
Right.
learn how to have productive relationships with others in dating.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, what's going to happen in this generation right now that they're not seeing any of that because their faces are in a device, or they're not seeing it because their parents' faces are in a device.
And they're only learning how to read uh, comments or posts.
Yeah.
They're not actually learning how to read body language,
Mm-hmm.
look in someone's eye,
Yeah.
understand what's happening. Do you
Yeah.
remember when we started doing poker games at the house and we were like, no, Krista, come and sit and play poker, because
Yeah.
when you can learn how to read somebody and their tells
Mm-hmm.
and their poker face, then you're going to be able to read anybody, and you'll be able to tell if they're telling the truth, if they're lying, if they're emotionally actually there in the moment. And I will say though that there's this very fine line, right, about having your phone. And like this morning I was walking around and I took some really cool pictures of the orchid and I caught a sunbird. I wasn't out looking at my phone though. I was out looking around and went, oh, wait a minute. Not everybody has this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Look what happens when you look around. And then I snapped the picture, put it down. And so there's this fine line.
Yeah.
And why are you using it? Again, are you bringing value,
Mm-hmm.
or are you just posting to post to get attention?
Well, and it's also just being mindful in how you're using your devices. So,
Right.
like we talked about earlier, phones, smartphones in particular, have created an ability to instantly connect with people, have conversations with people very quickly, and potentially throughout all day. I mean, there's tons of people that I'll just text all day, every day, my best friends and stuff. So in that sense, yes, it absolutely can connect you with people. It's easy to check in, you know, with someone, hey, how's the day going? With people with differing schedules, but it's being mindful of, like, for example, I woke up this morning and as I was drinking my protein shake, I was sitting on the edge of my bed, and Louie, our golden retriever, jumps up and he lays next to me. I pet him for a second and then I picked up my phone and started looking at it again. He
Mm-hmm.
then swapped it out of my hand
Mm-hmm.
because he wanted attention.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, buddy, you're right. I'm so sorry. Let me give you some love, because that dog is way more important than scrolling on freaking Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
That connection with him, we are only going to be graced and blessed with for, we'll be very blessed and grateful into teenage years, in
Yeah.
the sense of the number.
Yes.
Um, so you gotta be mindful of when you're using your phone so that
Mm-hmm.
you're not missing out on what's happening around you.
Well, and I think that there's been evidence, there's been research on the moment you pick up your phone, even if you're just looking to see what time it is, the minute, like if you're in a conversation, the minute you pick up the phone, you're totally pushing that person away.
Mhm.
You're showing them that they're not important.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
that's so sad.
Yeah, I'll do it with you. Think of how many times we'll have a conversation and you'll look at your phone and I just stop talking.
Yeah.
And I wait until you're done. And then you're like, what? I'm like, oh, I'm just waiting for your full direct attention. That's all. And you'll
Yeah.
do it to me too. We'll do it to, it's something that we started doing because it's so true. Because in that moment, you're only half hearing the person. You're only half hearing them because you cannot focus intently on a device and also somebody else.
No.
And, I did a little research yesterday and I sent you the article, and then you sent me a video this morning that was very fascinating, all about human connection.
Mm-hmm.
And human connection is literally as important to human beings as food and water and shelter. It
Yes.
has been programmed within us over however long humans have been here that human connection is needed for survival.
Mm-hmm.
There's animals that they can be solitary. Humans cannot. We have been bred and created to thrive and require human connection. And that video you sent me was very interesting because it even goes as far as the people you feel most connected to,
Mm-hmm.
your bodily functions even start mirroring each other,
Yes.
which I thought was hilarious because my father and I constantly find ourselves both in the kitchen, like grabbing lunch or coffee or whatever at the same time, and it's hysterical. Now I know why.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Um, Renee says she mostly uses hers as a personal jukebox. Me too, and a audible book, and definitely camera for memories. And that is the one thing that I love, because one of my favorite things is going through Time Hop. And not to, I want to go back to what you were just talking about, but going back through Time Hop and having that one moment, being able to see the pictures of a year ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and just remembering where you were, and having gratitude for it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important, is where does it take you? And
Mm-hmm.
if it makes you feel worse, then don't do it. But if
Yeah.
it makes you feel better, then absolutely dive into it.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the article that you were talking about and the video, I thought it was funny because you call me out. Like, you'll say to me, you need to go walking with the neighbors, or you need to go meet with the student group. Because I get to a point where I'll start talking a lot, or I'm like demanding attention
Mm-hmm.
because I'm craving
Mm-hmm.
connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it'll even happen on in the work that I do, where not my coaching calls, but some of the other work that I do, where I'll start talking just to talk, like to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what I'm there for. I'm
Mm-hmm.
there for very specific purpose. But if I'm not giving myself the need of the connection that I need, then it bubbles up in other places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I thought it was also interesting too. Um, the video that we watched, which we can share it in the comments actually, because it was really fascinating.
Hmm.
And I know I think I'm only halfway done with it, but it was also interesting to hear this gentleman's description of introverted versus extroverted and the science
Yes.
behind that. Because the science shows, and this is based on, um, blood tests and brain scanning and stuff like that. So we always think of an introvert as someone who doesn't really like to be around people. They want to stay to themselves. And
Hmm.
extrovert is people who are loud and chatty and want to go out and blah, blah, blah. That's actually not scientifically what an introvert and extrovert is. An introvert is somebody who actually gets more fulfillment out of people, which means they feel their social cup gets filled a lot quicker, meaning they need less social interaction to fulfill their need, versus
Hmm.
an extrovert is somebody who needs more social interaction because it takes more to fill up their social cup. So it's actually interesting, and
Hmm.
in a way the complete opposite of what we think so extrovert and introvert is. And it actually makes me question where I fall in that, because I always thought, for a longer time I thought I was an introvert, and then I thought, well, maybe I'm an ambivert. But I'm kind of trying to think to myself and figure out, like, where do I fall, because I do find that, and the other part of it was extroverts get energized by being
Hmm.
around or in social situations,
Right.
where introverts can tend to also get drained by a lot. So it actually, after a certain point, kind of backfires on them. And I think I do fall in that ambivert category because both are true in a way for me. What about you?
Well, I definitely think it's the situation, right? So Saturday we had the celebration of life for my mom, and I to me it was obviously sad and wonderful for everyone to come together, but I came home and I had more energy.
Hmm.
I had more energy. I was excited to be around people. I wanted to talk to everybody. I
Yeah.
wanted time to stop so that I could actually talk to every single person in the room.
Right.
And I couldn't. And so that drove me crazy because I couldn't be everywhere at the same time. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm definitely, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I'm an extrovert.
Yeah, I was being polite. I definitely know you're an extrovert for sure. And I think the difference too is really evident is you wanted to, the Saturday was a perfect example with your mom's memorial. You wanted to talk to everybody. I felt best talking to a select few people, like one of my dearest, oldest friends in the world I hadn't seen in forever. That and being able to spend time with her
Hmm.
refilled my cup tremendously because I was connecting with someone who is important to me. Not saying that I didn't enjoy everyone else being there. I'm so glad they were, but that kind of interaction with people that I don't have as much of a connection with definitely does not fuel me in the same way that it does for you because you really thrive, yes, with people that are important to you, but you thrive in social situations where you can kind of be like a little butterfly and flutter around and talk to a bunch of different people.
Or a dragonfly.
Or a dragonfly. Except dragonflies are carnivores, so I don't know if you want to put yourself in that category.
Well, that's true.
Are they
Uh,
carnivores? Well, anyway.
and it's funny because I was just talking to somebody earlier. I had a networking connecting meeting, and
Hmm.
we were talking about the introvert extrovert thing. And I was saying that when I walk in a room, I will go to the person that is sitting quietly,
Hmm.
and I will go to them first if I can get to them first, depending on the crowd. But I will try to make a beeline because I know that the introvert that may not want to come out to talk to everybody, so I'll be that person that like walks up to them first, not to force them out, but
Hmm.
just to be like hi, to make them feel more comfortable.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is definitely something that I feel that I do. I'm not the type that will go first to because and we kind of talked about this last week just about the different crowds, right? In school and stuff. I never felt part of the cool kids, so
Hmm.
I would never walk up to the cool group first. I would always go around and talk to everybody else,
Hmm.
and then hopefully bring everyone together.
Yeah. Jenny, I'm glad you said that because I was actually just about to ask you to comment because it's hard for me to tell, but like my mind would think that Michelle going and talking to the quiet person in the corner first. My first thought was that must be like their worst nightmare, but that's interesting that you actually say that you appreciate people like that. So that's good to know.
Well, I mean, and yeah, I don't do it like to call them out. I
No, 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 I know, but
yeah.
in my head, like if I'm socialed out at a
Hmm.
party or something, I go and sit by myself to get a break. So
Yeah.
with someone then coming up to me, I'm like, oh, Jesus, here we go again. I just wanted 5 minutes to myself. Um, but I mean that these are also, we're talking about two different things here because I'm talking about a very specific situation where you're at a max of your social battery,
Right.
not
You're,
just being a
you're
little
talking like
introvert.
halfway through or towards the end, and I'm talking about like the beginning.
Right, right, right.
But I will say that there are times where, and it's so interesting because at different times in my life I've been told different things. So I remember very specifically being on a date with your father before we were married, and we were just sitting in the car, the top of the car, we had an MR2, so the T-tops were off, and
Mhm.
we were doing like the whole Miami Vice thing, like just
Of course.
Phil Collins, and we're
Right.
driving and it just wind in our hair, and we weren't talking. We were just being in that moment, and like
Parallel play.
it was amazing. And I remember him saying, I love that we don't even need to, we don't have to talk. We can
Mhm,
just be with each other and have an amazing experience.
mhm.
And yet,
Hi, Lisa.
um, hey, Lisa. And then there's other times where I might approach somebody and feel
Mhm.
like I need to fill the gap because of the quiet.
Yeah.
And so I've really worked on pulling that back
Mhm,
and just appreciating the quiet,
mhm,
and to your point, to Jenny's point, just okay, do they want to be talked to, do they not want to be talked to,
mhm.
and like kind of feel it out a little bit,
Yeah,
and be more of the observer.
yeah. And I think that that comes from being able to connect with people from an early age and having those experiences, that I think that's what this new generation is really going to struggle with, is reading social cues. Sorry, I have something in my eye. Them being able to read social cues, and then being able to, like we talked about this a few episodes ago, of like anxiety being like a trend. Well, so social anxiety in particular is a huge trend right now, and like it's cool to like not want to, order your food with a waitress, or like make a phone call to the doctor. And it's like those are things
Yeah.
that come with being connected to humans, and having those connections with people. Because when you, and this was also talked about in the video, when you pull back, let's say you isolated yourself long term,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not you because you're naturally extroverted, but if someone isolates themselves for a long enough time, they will start to move towards the introverted side of the scale.
Right.
Because now, and it's true, especially those who have anxiety, you'll know this. um, when you don't do something, you could be used to going to school, and you're so used to it, and then summer happens and you haven't been in a while, and you're terrified that first day.
Right.
Or you haven't done some type of job for a while, and then someone's like, hey, I need you to do this, and you're terrified even though you used to be able to do it like nobody's business.
Mm-hmm.
Or going to parties, maybe you haven't been to a party in ages, and now one pops up and you're petrified of going. That's specifically with anxiety, but it a more toned down version happens here too, is when you're not exposed to people,
Right.
you will start to pull back a little bit and not be as comfortable in those situations. So especially for kids who are starting their life out behind a screen,
Mm-hmm.
how is that going to affect them long term is going to be very, very interesting to watch play out.
Yeah. I will say, I think that because of the lockdowns, I think that some of the people that were getting social anxiety, or that had social anxiety, that had to get on Zoom and had to do virtual meetings
Mm-hmm.
versus phone conferences or just texting or emailing, I hope that we're going to find that that brought more people out of their comfort zone than allowed them to stay in. Because I do think that there was something that was really cool about that, because people were having to actually see each other and make an effort to put something together and to jump on and even do it virtually, where they may not have gotten up and got left the house. They
Mm-hmm.
may not have gone to someone else's house, but
And
yet,
that's definitely a pro of technology. That's one of the
right.
benefits, is like even the different networking calls that you and I do. I'm able to connect with people completely differently online than in person. In person,
Mhm.
I'm 4'10" and I look like I can look like I'm about 18. Online, those elements are removed, and I'm able to connect with people on a peer to peer level, because there's no um, preconceived judgments
Right.
of who I am and how I, operate before I get on a call. Same thing with,
Mhm.
maybe those who are a little bit older. Maybe in an in-person setting, people are going to have preconceived notions about who you are, but you jump on an online thing, and the levels are even. You're
Mhm.
on even playing.
Playing
What's the word
field.
I'm looking for? Level playing field.
Mhm.
So there definitely are great benefits to it, and that's where I think really being mindful
Yeah.
is the key here, because there's even benefits to just scrolling aimlessly on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, sure, it allows you to kind of separate from your mind a little bit. Maybe it, in some ways, for some people, relaxes their nervous system. But again, it's being mindful.
And depending on what you've already subscribed to,
Mm-hmm.
because and I know that I've talked about this before, maybe it was on Moment of Presence, but it if your feed is filled with dread
Mm-hmm.
and bad news,
Mm-hmm.
and you look at it and your mood changes and you get sad or depressed or angry, then you need to change your feed. You
Yeah.
need to unsubscribe to your followers that are draining you, and you need to put in, more positive, pages that you're following, so that way when you look at it, almost everything that you're looking at is all, whether it's an affirmation or it's just something that is, happy. Yeah.
Here's what I'll break to you, though. Yes, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
100%. I did that years ago. Can't recommend it enough. But there's actually technology that's been patented where even if you do that, being on your phone releases certain energetic waves
Well.
that can heighten your anxiety, that can trigger your nervous system to react in a certain way. So that's something else that you need to be really mindful of.
Mm-hmm.
Especially right now, I'm noticing it a lot. My sensitivity to it is very, very
Yeah.
strong, and I'll be looking at a beautiful photo of a sunset. And yet my nervous system is going crazy because there's certain energetic waves that come out of our
Mm.
devices. So we have to be very mindful of too. So
Yeah.
even if your feed is full of nothing but sweet, beautiful, wonderful, positive images, if you notice that you're starting to have a heightened nervous system, something to take a look at. And Renee, I love that. The first 3 months of kindergarten are just pure social skills. You might lose actual teaching time, but the kids make up for it fast at the end. Absolutely, kids are brilliant, and we give them less credit than they deserve. They
Yeah.
they really are adaptive and they learn quick. And yeah, if you set a solid foundation, absolutely, I love that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that I had mentioned this to Renee once, and I think she said she does this. The video of the teacher that has the holds up the sign that says, do you want a hug, a high five, or a handshake? And
Hmm.
then whatever the kid, holds up and says is what she does.
Hmm.
And I love that, because that's connection, and it's also respect. You're
Hmm.
asking the other person, what is it that you need or you want from me today? And then you're giving it to them, and so it's this positive interaction that starts their day. It might be the only positive
Hmm.
interaction,
Fortunately.
that they get, or connection, is from school. And so I think that, yeah, I think it's so important to start this in kindergarten, in preschool, but it's also important to continue it. And I
Hmm.
almost want to say that they need to make, if they're going to do it in kindergarten and do some of it during elementary, they need to like redo it for middle school, and then redo it for the first year of high school, because I think that, I don't know, everybody you talk to will tell you middle school sucks. But why, and why has it been allowed to stay that way? Why has no one figured out how to help kids not have such a traumatic middle school? um,
This is not the episode for that because I'm about to go deep down a rabbit hole of quote unquote conspiracy theories, but that's done for a reason. Because if you have a strong society of people who can think for themselves and are
yeah,
not affected by other people, that they don't require other people to feel good about themselves, if you have a strong society, you cannot control them.
that's true.
If you have a weak society, it's easy to manipulate and control them. Going back to the thing I mentioned in the beginning, if you don't like what someone says and you say, I want them censored, I don't want them to be able to say
Mhm.
that, okay, well, you're opening yourself up for a major can of worms where now no one can say anything.
Right.
And
Whether it's
who
right,
decides
wrong, or yeah,
and who decides what's wrong or right?
yeah.
So you can't do things like that. If you want free speech, you want free speech. That goes
Mhm.
for everybody. And you are absolutely welcome to not like it, but that does not mean you have the right to take that away from somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. And we're going to talk a lot more about that tomorrow because it is 4th of July or what did you write on our calendar? You put like the celebration of America, I think is what you put.
Well, the episode is called Let Freedom Ring, but it's the 248th birthday of America, which means in 2 years, America will be 250 years old. I expect a major party.
So let's see. So what's the numerology of 248? I mean, because I know you like that stuff too. So we need to get
Five. It equals a 5 birthday. I'll have to look up what that
We'll have to
would
look
be.
that up. Interesting. Yeah, and what are you guys struggling with as far as your phones? What makes you
Or just
decide
the
to pick it
technology.
up or well, yeah, technology, but what makes you pick it up and what makes you put it down?
Everything makes me put it down. It's a habit that I pick it up, so now I have to focus on putting it down because it really doesn't bring much to my life.
I've been trying to walk out of the room without it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Like leave the room and leave the phone in the other room.
I do that, but I have to turn my ringtone on first. Because I'm always this is my anxiety. I'm always worried someone's gonna call me with an emergency, and then what if that's the one time I don't have my phone?
Well, and
That's a whole other thing.
it's a whole other topic. Yeah, and it's somebody was saying, I was reading somewhere where the guy was like, I ran home, and this was like an actual post. I ran home because I had to go to the bathroom so badly, but then I forgot my phone in my car. So then I had to stop, go back to my car, get the phone so I could actually go to the bathroom. And it was like, what? It was like, why? And those used to be the moments that we would have to actually think, whether you're in the bathroom or you're cooking. And I, I do my dishes, but when I do the dishes, I'm either listening to music or I'm listening to a book. That's my mind. That's how I work. I like to be absorbing something. Every time it dings.
That's great, Lisa.
Yes, exactly. Oh, have you seen? Wait, though. Okay, but there is this one post that is so funny, and I forget this woman's name. She leaves her phone in the kitchen, and then she goes and sits on the couch, and she's watching a movie. She calls her phone. Her husband answers it because it's in the kitchen, and she says, "Can you bring the popcorn?" It's just like so funny because she set it up, and he's laughing, thank God, because he just has a really good sense of humor. But he was like, oh, that was very smart, that you got me to get up to go get your phone to get you popcorn.
That's a great one.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
Or think about Grown Ups. Gotta love that movie. And the kids in the beginning, they're calling the nanny, asking for hot cocoa or whatever, and she was doing their laundry.
But that's a perfect example. Instead of walking up to someone and asking them something, you text because it's easier and it removes maybe the potential for rejection. And so we feel like that's easier. I'm sure that that's a play and factor in online dating is there's a certain, when you're online, there's a barrier there. So like you can connect to someone a certain amount, but there's also that barrier of I can just decide not to text them anymore and I'm okay. I could just decide to not answer their calls anymore and that's okay. Right now there's a big thing with like just blocking someone just because you want to block them. No reason.
Yeah.
Just block them.
Mm-hmm.
Have a conversation.
Yeah.
Or guess what? You can get over rejection pretty quickly. It's pretty easy.
I remember a certain
it's not that easy, but
a certain popular person on TV one time, and she said something very smart that I've never forgotten. Just because your phone rings doesn't mean you have to answer it. And I remember that like changed my life. And that was before cell phones. That was just the good old fashioned phone with the cord on it. Just because the phone rings doesn't mean you have to. If you're in the middle of something or in the middle of a really good conversation or important conversation, you don't have to answer the phone.
Mhm.
You can call the person back.
Yeah. Or in your case, you have every notification known to man on your phone. If you looked at it every time you got a notification, I don't even think you could
Forget
get
it.
anything done.
No. And actually, my mother had more notifications than I did.
I don't know. That's debatable.
Oh yeah, no, it's true. I used to have to tell her to turn her phone. Like, we're in the doctor's office. Can you please turn
But
your
here's
phone?
the difference. She had her ringtone on. If you had your ringer on,
Well, that's
then
true.
it probably would be pretty close.
That's true. That's true.
So all in all, today's episode, be
It's about being
mindful.
present.
Be mindful of where you are replacing human connection with technology. Where can you actually connect with others versus being on your phone? Where can you connect with other beings? Maybe it's a dog, a cat, another animal even, instead of looking at your phone. And be mindful of how your phone, how technology is affecting you physiologically. Any last words?
I'm gonna make a challenge. Instead of sending just one text, instead of a text, send a voice message so that the person, look at Krista's face, so that the person gets to actually hear your voice versus just words. Just one time today. Just choose one and do it just once. That's it. Because that's more of a connection than just reading a text message.
I
That's
disagree.
one step closer.
I disagree.
Jenny's like, mm,
I'm with you, Jenny. I think it's all about what you make of it, and
well,
I think there's something to be said about being mindful and intentional about what you're sending.
well,
Um, anything can mean nothing, and anything can mean everything. It's all about the intention you put into it.
well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying,
I like my point. You could mindlessly send a voice note.
yes,
You
you
could
can.
mindlessly send a text, but they both, depending on your connection.
That's true. Okay, how about this? Instead of texting somebody happy birthday, and if you're not going to call them to say happy birthday, at least send them a voice message
There
so
you
that
go.
they get to hear your inflection of your voice,
There you go.
maybe even sing them happy birthday. And that's that. And at least there's a little bit more of a connection if you're not willing to actually pick up the phone and call them, or if you don't have time to pick up the phone and call them. That's
Yeah,
all. That's all I'm saying.
I like that idea.
That's, you know.
That's a good one.
Anyone else have any ideas? Anything else they're going to try today?
And thank you, ladies, for joining us today. It's been awesome reading your comments as we chit chat.
Absolutely. And if, in the middle of your barbecue tomorrow, if you'd like to join us for Let Freedom Ring, I'm sure it's going to be a eye-opening, interesting conversation. So please join us tomorrow and celebrate a little bit with us. We probably won't go a full hour. We'll cut it
No,
short.
we'll be quick.
Yeah, because, we're going to want a barbecue or something.
True. And don't forget to check out mokshagrace.com/community. That's where you can learn about the Odonata community. It's a new subscription coaching that Michelle is offering through Moksha Grace Coaching. And you can find Michelle at mokshagrace.com, where you can learn about all her offers and about her. And you can find me at wickedwisdomconsulting.com. I work with those who are eager and excited to have someone help run their business. I help them do that. So wickedwisdomconsulting.com. And we will see y'all tomorrow for Moment of Presence and next week for the next episode of Shockingly Delightful.
And have a wonderful rest of your day.
And a happy 4th of July.
And a happy 4th of